Hey, this is Matt. Once again, what about the video? Another paid request, this time for Jonathan Lindsey. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for another episode of Batman the Animated Series, this time Batgirl Returns. And I don't know, this episode didn't do much for me. I mean, it was alright. Because Batgirl didn't really get to see her too much on this show, so it made things a little bit different. At this point, Batman, Bruce Wayne, he's not in Gotham. He's over, they like in Paris or somewhere for a Wayne Corps merger. You see him in like one shot talking on the phone to Robin. Robin has a bit more to do with this episode. Batgirl, who's related to Commissioner Gordon. I don't know how old she's supposed to be. I looked it up and someone said 16. But at the same time, it looked like she was maybe in college, so I don't know. But she has this daydream of saving Batman. So I just said, yeah, Batman there, but it's a daydream where Batman's attacked by the Joker and Two-Face and Penguin. She comes in and saves him and is like ready to kiss him. But then she steps out of her daydream. So one thing leads to another. There's been a cat statue stolen. Batgirl investigates, finds Catwoman there, voiced by Adrienne Barbeau from John Carver's The Fog, Escape from New York. She was in Swamp Thing, directed by Wes Craven, many other films. Again, great to have Adrienne Barbeau as Catwoman. Thought she did a nice job with the voice. I would say I was more interested in this for Catwoman than Batgirl, because maybe Batgirl's a good character, maybe not. It's just that she wasn't interesting to me in this episode. I say Catwoman, maybe because I like Adrienne Barbeau, so I'm being partial to that, but she just seemed like the more cooler character, more interesting character. And Catwoman says, I didn't do it, I wanted to figure out what's going on, let's work together. Batgirl ultimately does. It leads to this. Well, first it leads to Robin trying to catch her and Catwoman shooting a net to stop Robin. Then it leads to Batgirl find Catwoman again, and they go to this bar where people are saying lines like, hey, use one of your 9 lives on me, and she goes, go back into your litter box. So she definitely has a bit of attitude, and maybe that's one of the reasons, along with Barbeau's voice acting, that makes her a bit more interesting to me. Like, Batgirl just, I don't know, seems a bit, in this episode, bland. Not that she was poorly voice acted, but there just wasn't much to her. And she didn't really get to do as much as you would think for an episode called Batgirl Returns, because when a fight breaks out in a bar, Batgirl doesn't do a whole lot. Like, she's fighting someone, but we don't see her finish it. And it seems like we see Catwoman do more of the fighting. And then they steep on a motorcycle chase, and Catwoman jumps a gap as if it's the bus from Speed. And you find out that the villain who took the statue was this person named Daggett. We've seen him before in other episodes, voiced by Ed Asner. And he's like, Batman shut my operation down, but this statue to help fund my return. And Robin has to come in and save her and swings in and knock the bad guys. For me, I'm sitting here going, if you don't have an episode called Batgirl Returns, why does Robin need to save her? Let alone save them. Like, if they're caught and trapped, then Batgirl should use some of her intuition that she learned from Batman, all sorts of stuff to get themselves out of the situation. Like, what would Batman do? I'm going to do this, this, and that, and she saves them and saves herself. You did not even need Robin in this episode at all. You really didn't. I think it would have been better, because Robin just kind of got in the way, took a bit of the thunder away from Batgirl, because again, Robin comes in, swings in to knock the bad guys, and has to save her. Again, Batgirl doesn't seem like she does much. Catwoman finds Daggett, ready to dump him in this acid. Batgirl goes, well, if you do that, you're no better than him. And I like Catwoman's response. Oh, grow up. I did like that. She drops the guy. Batgirl saves the guy, the villain, like Batman would do. And Batgirl pretty much catches up to her. It's not really a big fight or battle, just kind of catches up to her. And because a cop arrives as well, Catwoman kind of just gives herself up. And then when she gets in the cop car, drives a few bits, and then Catwoman knocks the cop out and dumps the guns and says, I said I would let myself get caught, I just didn't say how far they take me. She drives off, Robin's ready to chase, and Batgirl goes, no, let her go. We'll get her one day. So it just didn't feel like that strong of a return for Batgirl for an episode literally called Batgirl Returns. I mean, we really didn't get to see her use a lot of detective work. I mean, like Catwoman pretty much is telling her that the statue was caught. Catwoman is the one that leaves her a note. So then Batgirl finds her, and Catwoman goes, we're going to talk to this person at a bar. Catwoman finds a guy to talk to. Catwoman on the motorcycle says, I know where this acid would be made that busted this lock. We're going to go to the factory where Dad gets at. So Catwoman is the one finding where they need to go. So you don't have Catwoman doing any detective work. Catwoman and even Robin seem like they do more fighting than Batgirl does. So what was the point of Batgirl being in this episode? Almost said movie. But what was the point of her being in this episode? She really had nothing to do. Like I said, I could watch it for Catwoman and, again, being a fan of Adrienne Barbeau, but for Batgirl, she was very underutilized. She didn't really get to do much of anything, and it just seemed like a waste. Like I said, if it's a good character, it wasn't really showcased that well in this episode. I mean, I could barely remember her first appearance, but I do remember little bits of was better than this. But I don't know, just maybe go. What was the point of this? Like I said, the villain being Daddy, it didn't seem like that much of a worthy, dangerous foe, especially that Robin had to save them. Lack of Batman always is always a detriment. Since, not only rest in peace to Kevin Conroy, but the more Batman, the better for the Batman show. And like I said, Batgirl just didn't, in this episode, didn't do much, didn't interest me, wasn't really that exciting. And just, I mean, you might as well just put Catwoman Returns and just have it be a full-out Catwoman episode. And leave the Batgirl home. Leave the Batgirl out of it. That probably would have made it a better episode. And there could be interactions between her and Robin. It might as well have been just Catwoman and Robin, and then Catwoman Returns, and it's Catwoman's episode. And Robin catches her, but then she lets go and tells Robin, hey, I said you let me get caught. I didn't say how far. And then Robin can say to himself, yeah, me and Batman, we'll catch you later. Or something like that. Or Robin says it to, I don't know, a cop or Tricia Gordon, whoever the hell. So, I don't know. Just wasn't for me. I mean, it's not the worst episode ever. It's not a rant. Because the voice acting and the animations is fairly well done. Usually with this show. There's much, much worse cartoons. I mean, this is definitely one of the better cartoons throughout this era. But this is definitely a weaker episode. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later.